I call the forces of friction, because I like metaphors and I like to think in thematically, and that's why super is a bunch of superheroes, and they call it forces of friction. If we're talking like terms, is um, what I want to cover, and by the end of the day, is this idea of how do we bridge the adoption gap. And we're going to go with theory, and we're going to get super practical. And if you've been in any talks that I like to do, there must be theory that sits upon and substantiates the practice and tactics that we're going to talk about. So we're going to sit in theories for a hot second, and then we're going to go into very practical ways on how do we effectuate change in organizations over time and in time in ways that the admin or the strategic technician can provide value in the business, period. So let's go through this. What I'm going to start, if you've been around any second, you know I like this word bluff. This comes from the military. It used to be in the military. It's called bottom line up front. And by the end of today, the bluff is we need, and I think this, as admins, having been around and thought about this mucho, is I think we need a new mindset, and I think we need a new tool set to prevent, you see, I just crossed out CRM failures. Because a CRM failure is not a CRM failure, it's a process failure. And I think we need a new mindset and a new tool set to prevent process failures. And the CRM is one tool, and HubSpot is a really good tool to execute. And so inside of these, I have 4 different learnings by the end of today that I hope we sit with, know, and understand, and can implement after this directly. I'm very open to Q&A. It's not just here, but in LinkedIn DMs, just so you know. So it is, number 1, your CRM, or the process plus the tech stack, because the CRM is nothing more than a tech stack that creates processes, is an internal product. So the tools that you use and the processes that sit on top of those tools are inherently a product that people experience. That's learning number 1. Learning number 2 is, as a HubSpot admin, you're actually a product manager, managing that internal product to optimize for what people using your product. Thus, we optimize for user adoption and experiences, and not for projects. Number 3 is internal user adoption. I think this, in this world today, having done this, that it requires equipping people not after they have the question, not after they have the pain, but in the point in time of pain. And I think this is increasingly true with how people solve problems today and the expectations of the market, from B2C, Amazonification effect happening in the B2B world through AI. So that's learning number 3. And learning number 4 is to be successful HubSpot admin and the more than CRM adoption, you solve processes. You must transcend CRM, and there is no other way. And the more you think in that way, and the more you think about that behavior, you'll be able to get adoption, because you're not thinking about CRM adoption. You're thinking about a person doing a job inside of multiple tools to execute their job. So we'll think about this, and I'm going to say this. I'm going to start this way. So by the end of the day, on how to do those are theory, but we need to put them into practice. Now let's sit with this truth. The truth will set you free, right? Here's the truth. CRM implementations have a notoriously high failure rate. You may have heard this before, but I'm gonna just sit in for it. Like, you can hear something and become numb to it. It is CRMs, and this is why there's a profession. This is why there's a professionalization of the HubSpot admin as well, to prevent this said thing. And I'm just going to click a bunch of buttons. It is over and over and over again. People have that show when you do a large-scale implementation of any tech stack, and specifically a CRM because it has multiple users, it fails. It is just as likely it will fail than it will succeed. And our job, like what we do, the HubSpot admin, what do we do? Specifically, is we make sure the processes that sit inside of, when you use HubSpot, you're less likely to fail because I'm a HubSpot admin. And so I just asked the question, the hard truth. CRMs usually fail. So the truth is, when we see our CRM, is every CRM upon purchase, I mean, we don't like to hear this, but it's like beyond purchase is terminally ill. As definition, if you use that in a humanistic, if you were to personify that, CRMs are terminally ill. And our jobs is to prevent terminal ill patients, to do miracles. That's what our job is, to do miracles. And what is miracle making when you have tools and you have processes? Miracle making is, and I was just want to sit with, is getting people to use and do the process because it makes them get to some end state of value. So let's talk about why I'm here and why I care about this problem. Why do I care about terminally ill patients in some capacity? Is number one, I've tried to solve this problem before. Like thought a lot about solving this problem before by founding a CRM implementation company. That company's was called Rev Partners. It was niched with a solution partner, and we went wicked fast. And we specialized in sales hubs, specialized in sales teams, and we grew very fast, fast as ever, large as ever, whatever. Right? We're thinking about this. And part of why we were able to execute so fast is from the beginning, we knew this to be CRM's a product, not a project. And because I believe those things, we built it to effectuate that inside of our processes. We had pods of people. We had agile methodology working in sprints. We had specific ways to do communications. We thought about product development, not project launching. And I want to say this because this is where it came. Is no matter how hard I tried, and I tried hard, probably too hard if you ask my wife. And I had to ratchet down the trying. But something was missing. And if ask my wife nothing about me yesterday, sorry, is something was missing. And I've used the tools. I'm a tool. I love to test and use tools all the time. Ask Steve. I always am thinking about tools and trying to create. And I knew we had to get experiences for people to do so that they would retain HubSpot, but also retain our services, creating a service. And I use all of them. You think of it. I mean, here's what I pick. I'm wearing I don't even use ClickUp anymore. I have a ClickUp shirt, guys. I'm wearing it because I like it. I ClickUp, Miro, Slack, Google Docs, Loom, etc. on how do I get people to both use and forever maintain and update and roll out and onboard and everboard people to do processes to create business value. And I had a system, and I would call this, I had a product where I've created that change. No matter, it was almost like I had one hand behind my back, though. I never felt like I could truly do it. And this, if you're saying, hey, what am I doing here? Why I care about this? The second time, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to answer this problem. And this Supered is my response. It is my response to it. I don't think there's another way. And you're going to go through, you'll talk about why. Is admins need an end-to-end tool that allows them to deliver value and equip people where they are when they need it, on any tool, on any process, because you must move where the pain is. And this is the only way for admin. This is one of the ways for admins to actually become strategic. Okay, so I have some more insights. So you're seeing this. Your CRM is a product. User adoption is the goal. Everything else is a distraction. If you disagree with me, please, I'd love to have a debate about it. It's like, is everything else is a distraction? So you must be equipped with tackle after that, and you must start by answering questions beyond the CRM, the tools. So what is the problem? We'll talk about the solution. What is the problem? Is the CRM has this crazy promise, right? It says, is it worth it? If something fails over 50% of the time, then why does everybody buy it? Why does business logic say, if you have a company and you have 3 people, 4 people, 5 people, you are running deals in a sales process, you should have a CRM. Why do people say this? It's because when it works, it freaking works well, and it is a competitive advantage. It's like saying, why do you try so hard to learn a sport that you have a very low likelihood of ever doing professionally? It's because I love it, and I do it, and there's outsized outcomes for those that do it really well. It is the foundation of growth, and the average return when it's working is $8 for every dollar spent, and that is huge. And you can build companies around that, and we see people build companies around it. High rewards. There's not necessarily need to go over these. It's just when it works and becomes a competitive advantage where if you don't have one, you will just be beat over and over and over. So it's worth failing once, twice, 3 times, 4 times to do a CRM implementation because of what happens when it works. So the reality is every company is going to have a CRM because when it works, it becomes a competitive advantage, and you can't scale without it. So if the default is failure, and why is it so high? Like, why is failure so high? What's the problem with it? We have this promise. We know it works. We know when it works well. So why is user adoption so hard to get? Why is it failing? And I'm going to say, I want to start with this to think of it, put it in these boxes. You have our reality today, which I think there's the business environment itself, and there's human nature. And then we're going to talk about our approach, which is how we think about projects and how we think about training, because both of these go together. So our reality, this is a true statement. We could discuss some semantics. Live with me as I'm defining these. Every business, no matter who you are, you could be field services and doing AC installations with, or you could be a car mechanic. Every business is a tech company, meaning its competitive advantage is standardized. It is standardized around technology that makes it more efficient and effective. And so, because that's true, and you have people niching, you see it and right now in this moment, I thought tool proliferation would stop at some point. That is, I thought a second that was true. Is not. AI has increased this. There is more tools than ever. If you are in a specific niche, there are specific CRMs for you. There's specific marketing automation platforms for you. There is more things for more people to consider, and there is straight tool fatigue. The average mid-sized company has over 200 apps, and individual users are at this point, if you were to take just a broadcast and said, raise your hand, they are overwhelmed by the sheer volume of tools they use. This is why I love HubSpot, because it is an all-in-one platform that you can do more of your functions inside one place and win. That's part of the value. However, that if you think the user that's in a CRM is only using a CRM, they are not just inside HubSpot doing their only job. They're in Gmail. They're somewhere else, right? They are in another tool doing their job. How they do expense requests, how they do there's so many other tools that they have to learn. It doesn't matter who you are, where you are. Number two is especially for remote people like myself, but others even in businesses, for any not blue collar but white collar person behind a desk, is we have very fragmented workflows. Because of this proliferation, we're constantly pivoting from one software to the next, and it's crazy. How do you know this is true for yourself? Like, Matt, that's not true. That can't be true. Yes, it is. I call it the tab apocalypse. If you haven't experienced this, then you're either really organized and you're much better human than me, or you just aren't using a computer. Context switching is the norm today. And the way you experience it, you'll find like 10, 15, 17. I've often have 20 different tabs open as I'm doing research. And employees on average are spending 4 weeks not doing work, straight up doing nothing more than switching tabs. Crazy. So in a world where more tech, more confusion, more context switching, people are more fatigued, that's a reality. So that is a reality of today. So you put in this reality, and then you have this other portion where humans don't like change. And on a broadcast, if you're doing it, if you're taking it, it's a true statement. On 2020, Prosky found that 70% of change initiatives failed due to employee resistance. And specifically, as any new software process was a disruption to their workflow. And this comes to this next portion: is anytime we ask somebody to do a new process or a new software, what are we asking them to do? Get bad at your job with the hope you're going to get good at your job later. And so they have to do what? Have faith in you. And so they have to dedicate time spend, and they have to transition. They have to get bad to get good. So anytime we do any change, we are going up against a river, like a force flow that is anti whatever you're trying to do. So why did they fail? How do we get good at it? It's not building the best workflows or having the best naming conventions. It is changing, like answering questions at the point of need and human behavior. So what do we do today when we think about these things? Often we're doing projects, even when we're launching new processes, we treat them one and done. And if we don't, our tools don't support us not treating them as one and done. So I like to call this the CRM reboot cycle. Again, this could be process reboot cycle. And you have a phase one. There's 3 phases. You have implement, decreasing usage, re-implement. And it happens in about every 1.5 to 2 years. You do this process, or 3 years, where you're ripping, replacing tech, you're ripping, replacing process. And it looks like changing CRMs, migrating whatever process that found itself in Excel back into the CRM, purchasing some new tools, creating new tools over and over and over and over again. And I just put this on here, and they focus on completion creation versus adoption. I got it done, moved to next project. It's finished when it's launched versus starting when it's launched, which I think is the key. One of the key differences when we think about what admins do and how they think is it starts when we launch. They do large batches versus small rapid increments. So instead of doing just one, boom, I'm done, I'll see you in 6 months, it's very small V0s, V1s to get them up and running. You are continuously changing the product itself. This is how HubSpot builds, right? And you think about we should be building our processes these ways in some capacity. And then we front load user input versus ongoing feedback, and there's no way to collect it. Okay, so this is traditionally what we do. This is where we sit. And it looks like something at the bottom, you'll have your CRM, which is your CRM 1, 2, 3. And if you were to do the other way, CRM as a product, you can just get more impact over a lower amount of time. And that's the difference between having a CRM. The difference between having a good HubSpot admin or not is this. Can you get to the product, treating it as a product versus treating it with this does not show the amount of spend occurring here, because this is a lot of change and a lot of spend as well. Okay, so then we roll it out, and then what do? It's like the next problem, which is almost the hardest. This is the hardest portion. Is like, okay, now we got to train everybody, and here's how we train. We have outdated training models. We long videos. We have dense SOPs. You have in-person workshops. You have static knowledge bases, email instructions. You have one-time onboardings. You have LMS systems. You take people off platform. You give them another tool, and just increase the problem itself of doing the thing. And you lack real-time, in-text, and you overwhelm people with irrelevant content that disrupts their workflows. And all we've done is made the problem worse. All we've done. I'm just reading some of the comments now. I'm not side-eyeing you, Jeremy. So please forgive me. So, okay, here we are. Guys, I don't know. And so I'm like, okay, Matt, you're just talking. Let me give you, here's what happens to me. I've experienced this. Confused employees in mid-question. This is the problem of the admin. Let's take it practical. This is the admin. And here's where the admin lives and dies. Lives or burns. Like this is like, and here it is. They have a question. They stop what they're doing. They switch tabs. They open a knowledge base. They search for something specific. They sift through a bunch of results. Or you have your AI little search things. It's still pretty bad, by the way. Sometimes I can't find things. I still have to go off platform often. I realize nothing applies to what I'm trying to do. I ask my question in Slack. Nobody answers. I pull somebody else out of the flow of work. They don't know what I'm talking about, so they ask me to send pictures and trade screenshots itself because they can't actually answer my question. And I say, give up, you jump on a call. And that's what happens over and over and over and over again. And if you've been an admin, you've seen this face, you got on a call with them, you say, do you get it? They go, sure. And you leave and it repeats itself. And that's where admins, like the tactical portion, the tactical technician, or the strategic tactical technician. This is the tactical part, and tactical work has strategic impact. Tactical work has strategic impact. They're not different sometimes. And this is what I mean by admins. At this point, this is where you live and die. Getting this person to adopt or not. This is the hard part. So, and I think this has been my reality, and and so I'm going to talk about the response to it. Where am I sitting on time? 24. Okay. Our approach. So here's what I think is a better way of doing this, and we'll show some stuff. Yeah. So you talked about this, and I'm going to say, a mindset shift is required to do this better. In my opinion, we're taught as admin. We go to these schools. We may go to you may get, quite honestly, you may get taught this. I'm not saying this, but you may get taught this in the super boot camp admin thing. Like you may get taught this if you're in it. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not saying it's good. Let me just give you an alternative world to think through. We're told you should do process first, and based on the process, you should get the tool, and then you need adoption. And that, in my opinion, leads to those confused faces. That is wrong. It is adoption first, process second, and tool. Now, what does that mean? So it means adoption is the ultimate goal, because if you don't have adoption, you have nothing. You have no process. So adoption matters mostest, as I would say, period. So what that means, and just to put this full circle, the tool you pick matters just as much as the process. This is, by the way, this is why I niched on HubSpot back in 4 or 5 years ago, was this insight. The tool you pick matters. So you should normatively pick simple and put adoption over function. Yes, adoption over function. I'll fight an executive. You should be like, that means that no one's going to use that process. Well, they won't. That means no one's going to use that process. You must fight maniacally for adoption over function. Truth number 2 is revenue systems need a product manager, because your job as a CRM admin is to advocate for that confused person that you know is going to happen. And you need to make sure they can do what they need to do daily, weekly, and monthly with very little help. So you are a product manager looking over systems to make sure that process is optimized and answer points at the point of need. And you want to replicate yourself to be able to answer that over and over again. You want to standardize. And so you must answer these questions at any given point over and over again for every user. It is who should I ask about a problem? What should I be doing right now? When should I be doing the thing? Where should I be doing it? And why am I doing this? And all of these questions must be answered at any given time for every user, because you're building a product. Adoption, product manager of the revenue. I didn't mean to do that, but balloons. I guess I could do this too, because we all love admins. Is going to come up. Yeah, there we go. Some hearts. Truth 3, adoption occurs at the point of need. People learn while doing. People learn while doing. You know this, you see this, but we don't have the tool set that allows us to think this way. So we're stuck in all outdated. But let's talk in this study. And that I'm not making it up, right? We have full points called the learning pyramid, which is participation in things dramatically increased by doing. It's like a 75% more retention, which is not a small number. You have the cognitive experience model, which is people remember 90% of what they do if they're doing it while they're actively, if they're saying what they say while doing an activity versus just saying it or looking at something, watching a video. And I like this statement because it gets to the heart. Sometimes we miss the heart of the matter. This is the heart of the matter. Tell me and I forget, teach me and I remember, involve me and I learn. And so we need something that can replicate you at those points of needs over and over again. Okay, so a new tool set. This is where it gets, all these thoughts are put into a piece of, how do I do this? How do I productize? And I instead of productize, I might change this. I just wrote a post about this today. I think I'll change this term. I think I'm part of the problem. Standardizing the CRM so you can have custom points of need. There are times when people need you need to go, but you need to be able to escalate properly. Turn a company's process and tech stack into their product. And so you need a complete tool, like something that does all those things, the who, what, when, where, why, all the time at different places and spaces. So you need to be able to configure it. You can't write code all the time, and it needs to be able to be configured. It needs to be able to answer comms right where they are. You need to not switch over to another tab. It needs to be able to be where they are when they are. It must often dynamically serve, so they're not thinking, they're not clicking a button. You can serve some things you can serve to them. You must make every app better. It can't just be on HubSpot, because that would not be sufficient. That's not where everyone lives. You need to be able to send and take over a screen for like in the moment if you're doing a rollout. You need to be where people are clicking. You need to like have some searchable knowledge base at some point so they can see it and be able to even send it. And you must be able to track and assign tasks for onboardings often when you're doing rollouts. And there's like all these tool sets are all needed to do adoption. Okay. That's a lot of theory. I'm going to say what to do it. And I'm going to say is, this looks like this is one big commercial for Supered. I'm going to say, yes, it is. And second, I actually think you're better. It's yes, it is. And I think this is real. Like there's a conviction here where I think your life is better for this. Period. So here's some new normals. I'm actually going to skip this because I think it's better. Okay. So here's what I was trying to get through. These 3 learnings, right? CRM's a process. You are a product manager. Internal processes need to equip where they are. And this fourth one, solve for more than CRM adoption, you must solve process. So here's what I want you to get. The next, but what the heck does that look like, Matt? That's great. What the heck does that look like? I'm gonna do a little show and tell. To do this, to get it. So, I have not shown anybody this. This could go poorly or it could go very well. D has not looked at this or approved it, but that's okay, D. Right. So let me show you what that could look like as examples. Number one, I'm in PowerPoint called CRM as a product and how to avoid the CRU graveyard. This is where I'm sitting. And I'm like, man, I wish I could do a demo on Supered and just click a button. Or I wish I could just know where to ask something. There's this big button right here. I'm like, okay, I know where to go. Sweet, that's great. And I'm like, man, I wish and I'm going to do my show and tell. Okay, so number one is how the heck do you answer? So I'll just say number one, I do love admins, and I don't know why the team made me hug an octopus, but that is what I am doing right there. So thank you all for all being here. I love admins. That's a task. I'm going to check it off. Number two, here's an example. I don't know how many people have felt this, but I'm like, man, I need my freaking meeting link. Like, how many times you've been here, right? I'm here, or I'm on LinkedIn. Someone asked for my meeting link. I'm on Gmail, and what I have to do is I have to like send an email and get my little meeting link and copy it. What if I just said, I'm going to do this quick. This is cool, but we have a card where I just have everybody's meeting links in the company, and I can just click it because I get everybody's meeting links, and now I have it. Like these simple use cases, like this is where you get adoption, guys. This is where you get adoption. It's in these small, minuscule, nitpicky. No, learn to love those nitpicks. Love them, embrace them, and create and enable them. And so you don't have to go find it and give it to them. You don't have to do a full training. You just have it. Here it is. It's all there. Sweet, great. We have it all. Okay. Next is, where are our brand guidelines at? How many times have you asked that? If you're an admin, you don't have to raise your hand for me, but if you've done it, how many times have you asked brand guidelines? Crispy, you raised your hand to be a presenter. So the answer is a lot. And you get asked, or someone else, you ask somebody else, right? In your org, and you're like, hey, save this in favorites, but you can't find, for some reason, you can't find it. What if you could just do, here's your brand guidelines. There it is. And if you needed to send it to somebody, you just come right here, share, send, I am done. And look, now they have it and they can download all these assets as well. That's how we send stuff at Super, right? I'm just saying, this is examples of asking less questions, enabling people at the point of need. Okay, I'm going back here. Sweet, I've done those two things. Okay, that's exactly what I needed to know. Okay, so there's this other element is like, it's cool that it's searchable. I have this point that exists outside of a CRM. You see what I did? Those are process questions. Nothing to do about CRM. Process questions. Although that my meeting links in the CRM and I need to have one, right? Like that's something. But let's say I have embedded on page. So this next portion is I can do embeds anywhere on the internet where I think they might have a question. Now here's something Super does. Is we have I had this up. We have a client called Biddle. I love Biddle. If you know that, they are. And I want you to see this. We have this thing like this little face. We have anywhere the word Biddle shows up, anywhere on LinkedIn, on an email, anywhere. We actually have, that's our CS, and we have embedded, like HubSpot embedded inside of it, and we know exactly who's working and who is it and who's the name of it. And so we can see it's just another way where I know who's in charge, who's the POC, and I embed. So how many times have you asked, who owns that customer? We just have heads. We put in the little triggers and we know who owns that customer immediately. We can have contact and talk back and forth about it. Embed on page. That's Lindsay's client. Isn't that cool? Okay, how do I do that thing on LinkedIn? I'm going to, that's going to trigger something, which I don't want to do right now, but I'm going to do it anyway. So let's say I go to LinkedIn. How do I do that new thing on LinkedIn? And I'm going to come up here and I just got hit with an update because some process change is apparently we're asking ask me anything tomorrow on LinkedIn. My point is you can take over people's screens and you could say and have them do and track if they completed. You can send them to different registration pages. And this can happen at the URL level. right? I do it on LinkedIn, not HubSpot. You can define where you're doing it. Every time you have something new you need to communicate, it's a communication tool directly in it. But let's say I have something, I can have like LinkedIn news right here, which is like my thing one, thing two, that's all happening. And you can have questions on how to use nav, and you could train everything in a system, not just inside HubSpot, because there's no world. I'm going to say it again. There's no world. We're naive if we think people exist just on HubSpot. We need to get them more and more functions there, but it is not an only HubSpot world. It is a HubSpot plus world. And the faster we live there, the better. Okay, going back. So I'm sending stuff, did cross-platform. And now let me dynamically serve content. So I'm going to go to this deal, which I have a little link here, training. And this deal is called my fake deal for demo. You'll see we have like our forecast. We have all our meeting links, like what this means. We have some of our forecast stuff in here on how we forecast with the Loom video and how we forecast. So, but what this is dynamically serving content inside. So this is CRM creation. Okay, this is pretty cool. So we have different things that are supposed to happen at times. So we have logistics, and I'll say, well, boom, without me loading a page, I just slap the users with process, right? Telling them what to do with a card associated. And I said, add an amount for this deal. You should be discussing typicals, and the associated company does not have a super ID. What the heck is that? More info, step-by-step guide with a how to associate with what to do. Same here. It's literally a how to add guides, and I can get started here and I can see the pictures and follow, or you could do a step-by-step. I'll like guide you through. Again, all the tools that you need to actually replicate yourself in those questions in the place of need dynamically. Okay, I'm going to switch from that. Just for time, I'm gonna move. So let me get some Q&As. Okay, send notes when things change. I accidentally already did that. Send an update. That's what I was showing you. But you can also assign a task. So I get tasks, like I can add my task and say, hey, D, I need you to do this thing. And it will be sent to her, notified, and I'll save. I'm just not gonna do it right now for it and put times for it. So like I get actually all my tasks for things to do, I get sent here. Record your welcome video. She just told me I was behind on this. I get all my tasks directly here. Some of them are from action plans that I'm showing. Some are just one-time pieces to be doing. You can communicate back and forth via comments if you need to do them. Again, the one place, a center of command that allows you to clone and replicate yourself with your users at the point of need, wherever they are. I'll go back to the action plan. For my show and tell, I assign the task. Boop. Now let's go to use cases. Okay, so Matt, that's great. That's cool. But that's cool. But how would I onboard a rep? How would you use this for onboarding a rep? Like, well, let's go through a real thing. Great question. Let's go through how we are currently onboarding 2 reps. So what we've done is we have this full like week 1 prospecting. I have all our end states by month with exactly what to do with all our demos. So example is we have you're supposed to schedule. We have the links. We have like, how do I do a demo? And they have this that plan that shows them exactly how to log in and do demos. And there's not a world. What we get is this is the best onboarding I've ever had. You have even the point where, hey, we want you to order the sales Challenger book. Look, if I click this, where am I going? I'm getting the Challenger sales book, right? On to do it, to complete it. And so what's cool, this is the platform, but you can do this off platform, which is what I've been doing this time, doing the action plan. And that's what is almost best about this, to be able to do work where you are, when you need it, and you can learn while doing. And that is the key concept when you see these. This next portion is that I want to go over to show is this. The last one is we actually use this entire thing. So we have a lot of, Biddle's one of them, which is when we do when we train Supered, we call something called learning Supered on Supered, and this is how we onboard all of our new users, right? Using Supered, and we have changed. Like, what's the impact of that? We went from on average about 3 months of people getting value to on average reducing it down. We had someone finish and get instant or like instant value in 13 hours. So we went from 3 months to 13 hours. That is crazy, 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 crazy. So we have things like that I haven't shown, even like the ability to ask quizzes, right? Set up quizzes and ask users and have knowledge checks directly in. So the point here is, I think getting back to this is that we need to move towards this, right? Where you have a new mindset, which is you are a product manager with a new tool set, meaning you can, my wife just delivered me something. Thank you, baby. With a new tool set. And you can have both hands and you can replicate, standardize, and then you'll be able to customize at the real points of need. They can get a human, but the non-points of need, this is not AI. This is what AI doesn't have, last mile delivery. And that's what we focus on. It's the human part of how you get the company going, last mile. And that's where we sit in the innovation curve we're thinking. So in summary, and then we'll go some Q&A. There is a new normal. It's coming, and that new normal, which is everyone's there's tool fatigue, and there's more tools than ever. So there's tool fatigue, and that only intensifies human nature. That makes it very difficult to resist a change. And with CRM having a high failure rate, is the new world needs a new mindset, a tool set, and that's what we've covered here. I'm gonna say solve for process adoption. Do not just solve for CRM adoption, because what are the questions people have to answer hourly, daily, and weekly? Start there. Create processes for them, enforce those processes. And the result is you'll get fewer interruptions and repetitive questions, less resistance to change, higher process adoption. And ultimately, I don't like the word always, is ROI on your software purchases. And it will transform how people work on a day-to-day basis, and it'll transform their behaviors, and everything will just be easier. And as an admin, you can win more often and fight the forces of friction. That's it for me, guys. Q&A.
Thanks, Matt. Lots of warm response in the chat. If you all want to hop over to the Q&A panel now, looks like we've got about a dozen questions in there. We have time to get through those. We have time to maybe get through more than those. So ask some questions, upvote your favorites. We will go most popular to least popular and get as far as we can. I'll give you 15 more seconds.
I'll say this as we're waiting, because I see some responses, but I'll say tools out is one of the ideas. I mean, having been and done Rev Partners and coming out of that, and so I was often looking at these large business problems. What I did not want to do is create another tool that someone just has to use. So there are tools that answer some of these problems. But like HubSpot, which is a platform, and if the intent of, especially us as HubSpot admins, I think part of our value prop is you can do more with less, right? You can be in one place. I did not want to create another tool that was saying, hey, add another tool, because I think that's antithetical to the value prop and where we're going. It goes moving upstream. And so there are tools that are like, oh, Matt, isn't that like Scribe? What Scribe? I use Scribe How today. Isn't that something? Yes, we have a guide step by step. That's a like for like process. Isn't that how Tango? Yes, we have a like for like process on that. Isn't this like Guru? Yes, we have an internal internet. Wasn't this like? Yes, but they're all missing the full picture of one. You can't just do one function. You must answer all these questions: the who, what, when, where, why. Serving content, like it's the full picture, and that's what I think is missing. That's what I mean: new mindset and new tool. So I fully expect there to be a super competitor. Today, there's not. So.
Makes sense. All right. Time's up, everyone. We're going to start with Joshua Oakes. 21 upvotes here. Admins are often responsible for driving adoption of HubSpot, but other stakeholders often are not on board. E.g., sales leaders won't create or enforce policies or processes, won't discourage tracking leads in spreadsheets, etc. How do we make unreasonable headway on that problem?
I like to say this is a big problem, right? And this is why you say the 50% fail is an admin has to be able to have influence without direct authority. Influence without direct authority. Influence without direct authority. And I called this a long time ago. I wrote this thing called the RevOps Manifesto. One of those things is eliminate Excel spreadsheets. Eliminate Excel, like a Excel sheet's the death of a CRM, so don't use them. And the question you saw me have the challenger sale there. Here's what I'd recommend. Here's what I recommend is every HubSpot admin. In fact, it's a mandatory read at Super, just as a point, is every HubSpot admin should read the book called Challenger Sales. Now it's geared towards salespeople, but the function, the insight there is what we need. It is, we must provide value. Not people think that relationship building is where value is created, and they'll have better relationships by being nice and being these. And it's, you flip the narrative. It is the people who are the most successful in sales and like getting influence without direct control are those that challenge through value. And so here's a direct, how do you solve this problem? It is a perennial problem that will never go away unless you do this. It is. Executive. We are not I do not think we're going to get adoption of the CRM because we run our sales process in the Excel. Is your intent to use HubSpot or to use Salesforce or to use Pipedrive, or is your intent to use the Excel spreadsheet? What is your end state? I recommend we use a CRM because it will be best and will have a competitive advantage. Ask them with insight, and they will say HubSpot, like perfect. Then by next week, I will run it. We'll put it over. Let's run the sales process out of HubSpot. Next week, I'll do all the work to get it there. And you do that, and you will have earned the respect, and you will have gotten, that's how you get through executives going through. You must talk like an executive. You must give insight like an executive, and you must challenge. Just being nice. I would say it. Being kind is saying, here's what's going to happen if we don't. Often, it's actually very mean to just watch it fail. So learning how to have that conversation is super important. Theory and practice. I was trying to give them. That's the only way to get through that.
Great. I'm glad we did that question first, because Joshua's second question takes us to even thornier territory. A lot of businesses, our clients, don't actually have processes. They have practices that are not documented. If a business doesn't have actual process, how can we even approach the adoption gap? There is not a process to implement and support, just effectively random activity and action.
Okay. This is this would be me trying to practice Challenger, just so you hear this. Here's it in action. I think that thought is wrong and will create bad behaviors. So what do I mean? Is that company has a process or they wouldn't exist. Somebody somewhere is doing something repeat like over and over again somewhere. It's like saying, we've all had this experience. I have that experience, at least, is I walk into a room or I walk into a company and the culture is like, hey, it's like saying, a company doesn't have a culture because it's not written. It's not true. Every place has a culture. And our job as clients is to see it for what it is. Our job as implementers, I'll call us implementers and consultants, is to understand where they want to go and create the bridge and how to get from point A to point Z. And that is the value of a HubSpot consultant or an admin, right? Is saying, you're here. Do you see that you're here? Here's where you are. And let's go to point A. Do you want to go there? Yes or no? And if they say no, it's like, perfect. If you do want to go, here's how we're going to do it. And that's like, so repeating it is every company has a process. They are following something. They just might not be following a process that helps them win, right? You can follow processes that make you lose.
So Jeremy asks, how hard would it be to re-onboard a team of over a dozen HubSpot users? Asking for a friend.
All things considered, I think that is a relatively light lift. We have much larger 100 plus is where you get a lot of bang for your buck when you're doing this. 10 is you can do a massive amount of change. So usually pilots, like when you're doing an enterprise organization, you're picking about 25 people to make some kind of process change and test it. So like around 10 is more a pilot, which means you're a small org and you're having 10 users. That means you can change everything and still you can have pretty drastic change in a short amount of time. Period, Jeremy. I'm sure we could always talk. Period. I was going to say we can get into how that's done. But.
Nathan, I'm enjoying the questions your session is raising up here, Matt. I think this is where really good stuff happens. These are admins not just thinking about tool administration, but like being actual strategic parts of their organizations. I appreciate the value our CRM provides in helping us identify areas for improvement, ultimately making us more effective. However, I recognize that its insights can sometimes be perceived as negative since they highlight our shortcomings. What strategies would you recommend to maintain high morale while coaching and guiding team members toward growth? So I feel like
right. No, this is straight like how to provide business value as a HubSpot admin.
So, right. Well, and it thematically relates to what you were just saying about your organization might have a process that makes you lose, right? And if that is what your CRM teaches you,
so
what do you do with that knowledge?
So I think being a HubSpot admin and doing it well, and I say like making it profession, is much less about the technical aptitude and much more about the EQ and how to make behavior change. So I'm gonna give a dire situation. It's probably too big of a metaphor, and then I'm gonna bring it back to this. I was in the military and I went to West Point, and what that means is I was torture is the wrong word, but I was just like, the only thing that was told is you're going to lead people into combat, right? And because of that is we had academics, but we also had this other portion that was like, how are you going to get people to go up a hill where 50% or more are going to die? I'm saying this like, I'm just trying to get just that was our logic question, right? So how do you get people to do things they don't want to do? That question is ubiquitous across any place and is useful for any company you're in. How do you get somebody to clean the toilets when they don't want to? How do you get someone to have pride in what they do, even when it's something very small? And I think this is a very useful concept, specifically like, hey, when I identify bad things, how do you keep people on trail? Like example, we had churn. Like, okay, is this? And Kyle, I think you're actually probably one of the most optimistic people I've met, at least as we mean. I love that. And people, so let me say, people like being around optimistic people because all you like Kyle. So if you like optimistic people, why are you attracted to Kyle? It's because he is a perennial optimist. And even when bad things happen, he's buoyant. He's going to stay there. He's going to help you through. So we must be able to communicate that. And there's a concept called predetermined optimism, which just makes the statement is the right mindset is always the one that says there is good from this problem. We have hundreds of issues. That means we have so much opportunity. Here's the first place I want to start. Now we have visibility. Now we can do change. Let's go. And if you frame it that way, I'm telling you, no one wants to lose. Like they want to win, and they will be attracted towards the person that gives them hope. And if you in any way help them get closer to getting better, they will be attracted to you. They will do what you say. And that's how you command respect. And that's how you move from tactical to strategic and eventually towards helping run the company in some fundamental way. That's the power of the admin. And the admins have a unique way to do it because they're talking to sales reps and they're talking to people in an immense amount of pain more often than other people in the company. So you have this very wide spread. That's why I love this role so much, because you can have so much impact if you adopt that mentality.
Love it. Next couple questions are really tactical, specific things about Supered itself. So Jeanette asks, do users have to download Supered in their browser?
No. And yes. So there's different aspects that say yes, and there's different some that no. It is more powerful at a 10x level when they have the Chrome, the extension that works on Edge or Chrome. Period. You can also use it without. So the whole point is, we get the point. Like the point of the mindset is, how do I do more with less? And part of it is creating a connective tissue across all places, which requires with that in that mindset that you have something that can sit across all, which means you need to download something across your browser. Now, we're just not another app, right? You're an enhancer of your current processes and helping you build new ones.
Cool. And then Courtney asks, can we get Supered for select teams only?
Yes.
Cool.
That's a simple answer. Yes.
Let's see. Some of these, there are other questions that kind of hit on this. What if there is not a process? Which I think.
Well, I'm gonna say, ask me one of the what is not a process. Maybe I can go deeper into that thought.
Sure. So Amanda says, how can they adopt without a process? If there isn't a value for them, why would they use the CRM?
Okay.
What would you suggest as a process to introduce pre-process?
Yeah. So I think there's another mindset shift. Okay, guys, we're thinking like that thought. I just want to be that thought is a project mentality, and we need to rip it out and stop it. So I would ask the question. I'm like, well, great. How do you start getting better at something? You do one thing. You put your meeting links in one place so everybody can look at them. So what I like, it's the chicken or the egg. And I'm saying, you know what came first? The egg came first. That's what came first. You got like, and you have to, the point is, if we look at things like, well, I don't have a process and I can't get started until we have one. What you do is you say, hey, user, what are the 5 things you have to do every single day? And what causes you the most pain? Show me. I'll show you they'll show you stuff, but like, perfect. By tomorrow, I'm going to show you something and I'll make all those things easier. Are you good? Yeah. And they show it to us like, perfect. Will that be better? Oh, heck yeah. Or they'll be like, oh, that's all, heck yeah. I'll be like, okay. Have it, do it better. And you just aggregate over time with small incremental changes versus large scale. And you get the product. Yeah. Hey, did that work? It's like, oh gosh, actually like these 3 things were freaking amazing. And the other one, I just didn't even use at all. I'm like, oh, why? And you build it over time. If you start with one project and a project mentality, it's not that the process doesn't exist. It's that it takes a different way of thinking to create something new.
Great. We have about 2 minutes left. I feel like this question from Sebastian is a great place to end. I would love to hear your answer, Matt, to the question, what are the most important hard and soft skills for HS super admins after what you said?
Okay. I have a whole seminar on this called Becoming the HubSpot Admin. It's on the RevOps course. It's on the HubSpot. It's the HubSpot's RevOps. I think they don't put anything there anymore, but this is a good one. I created this, or I presented. We may take this, Steve. We may have to like relaunch this in some capacity. I can build an app around it with AI now. It is called the 5 stages of the HubSpot admin. So one of the issues, I think, it's the same, like we got to rip out this project. To become really good at HubSpot means you must be really bad at HubSpot. And there's stages in growth. And so there's both EQ and there's both IQ, if you would, hard and soft skills. And there's different things to do in those. So if I was doing that, what's a hard skill? You need to learn how to be able to see databases in your head, and you will always be a better HubSpot admin than someone that can't, because you can see how data will work. So when you see a problem set, you can answer, you have your tool sets larger. So go learn data architecture and get a certification from LinkedIn, right? Or the certification from there. EQ side is go get your PMP. Or go read Challenger Sales and start implementing those things. And so I have a whole, like, here it is, and check it off. And we will reboot that. It's a good idea. Cool.
Well, we're at time, Matt. Thanks so much for being here. If people want to connect with you, follow you, continue learning from you, what are next steps?
2 steps is I'm on LinkedIn, where I put a lot of thoughts in there, and I'll communicate back and forth. And we are moving in a large way into YouTube, where we have people asking me questions. So if you have any of these questions and you'd like for me to answer them live, as we were going to start having that called Unmuted, I think is something like that. We're doing something. So we'll be doing that next couple of weeks.
Amazing. Well, Matt, thanks so much for being here. Everyone, thanks for joining. Great to have you all in the room again. Hope to see you all back next week. And that's the end of today's show. I'll let you get back to your Tuesdays.
Stay awesome.
Until next week.
Adios.
Bye.